Yes. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to Journey to Bliss. I am Miss Bliss, and we have our wonderful guest this evening, Diana Pharr, who has a message for everyone and an event that she's promoting. Oh, good evening. Good evening. How are you, Mrs. Tate? Yes. Welcome back, Diana Pharr from Mrs. Tate. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Wow. Nice to see you again, Diana.
I'm
Aw.
glad. I'm glad to be here.
Good
I'm good.
evening, ladies.
I'm
Good
glad
evening.
to be here. Thank you, Miss Bliss, for holding space for me.
You're welcome.
I
You're welcome.
needed space today. I needed
Yes, yes,
space today. This is always a very intense time of year for me, and it
yes.
was all the more so. So,
Yes, you're welcome. All right.
how should
So,
how shall we begin? Are we saying greetings right now? Are we allowing people to come into the space and
yes. Miss Pretty Kitty Cat, it's great to see you both. Yes, it's wonderful to see you too. Happy New Year's to all who are celebrating the New Year's and wishing you guys well. Happy January if you're not celebrating 2025. Some of us I know celebrate in the springtime, and I know some of us celebrate in September. So, whichever you may be celebrating, we wish you all the best and hope that you are well. Um, so, we wanted to start off this evening with some messages from Diana Farr and a promotion of an event that she's planning. And we wanted to invite you guys to come out and to listen and to learn, educate yourself, and also to explore. So, I give you the floor.
thank you. Well, the event is the basic practice training, restoring the magic of your humanity. So it runs from January 4th, the training, to February 22nd. In the morning is the basic practice training, and in the evening is resource panels. And we're in the yin time of year, so the spirit of the event, the energy around it is this is the time of year historically where we gathered around the fire and we shared information as to how we can make it through the winter. This is a very unusual time that we're moving into historically. We won't be in a cycle like this again for thousands of years. So the world is really going through phenomenal changes. I'm sure people are feeling in their lives in various ways. So, first, I guess it would be helpful to the audience for me to describe. I always feel a need to describe magic because the word has so many connotations. And when I say magic, I'm speaking that word from the ancient meaning, and that is life is movement, and that movement, when we align with it, we experience life in a very different way. That alignment brings about an experience of life that contributes to the human experience. It enhances and awakens the human experience, and it reminds us of who we really are. So, the seven movements of basic practice are breath, space, choice, flow, creativity, seeing, and yielding. Breath is the foundation because we connect with that movement through the breath. Flow is the center because we live in that space. We live in the center. It's also the heart. But the goal is yielding. Yielding is the avatar state. Yielding is when you not only cooperate with that energy, but that movement, that inherent movement, but you surrender to it and you become one with it. And when that occurs, you are transformed. You are transformed. You are you in an avatarial state. your qualities as a human being expand, are enhanced. Your experience of reality is altered. I want to say a little more about magic so that people, when I talk about that movement, I always use the example of what is it if you cut yourself that tells the cells what to do? What is it that directs them? What is that intelligence? What tells the grass to grow? What movement? And in many systems, people talk about the life force as being energy. But in alchemy, like the life force is the movement that generates the energy. It precedes it. It is the eternal. That nothing, no, nothing in life occurs without movement. It is the essence. And so breath is how we align with that. And the second is space. Through our circadian rhythms, we move in harmony with it. Your circadian rhythms is how your organs and how all of the systems in your body interact with light and dark in nature. And that's very important because we, through embracing our own movement, a simple thing as moving, when we're moving, when we're rushed or we're stressed or we're not setting our bodies in alignment, then life is constantly trying to bring us back into alignment. We're like, just like wireless and everything else functions, that you have to be in alignment for the flow of that energy to move through your life. When you do discover your own pace, what you begin to also discover who you are, because to do things that are not in alignment with your own cadence and rhythm and your own relationship to light and dark has profound ramifications. It changes how you think. It changes how you interact. It changes the frequency you operate on. And the most common way that it shows up in life is through static. And static has become so normalized that we don't even think it's unusual for life to resist us and not to flow. To get up and have challenges and resistance in the course of the day seems normal. But if you look around you in nature, no one's function, nothing in nature is functioning like that except for human beings. Everything else is moving with this inherent eternal flow and can communicate with others of its like kind. When you look in the sky and you see birds flying together, and there's a rhythm of life that's happening here. And we as human beings, we have the novel ability to resist it, to move in a direction out of alignment with that, and that brings about challenges on many levels in life. So the first part of the event, and this is a free event, people do have to register because all events require that I put a fee in for me to use the site. So there's a $7 registration fee, but
Mhm.
that gives the individual access for all of the weeks of the training. And so the goal is for people to connect with the magic of their humanity. And then in the evening, there are resource panels where people will be sharing information that has to do with you know, the very essential basic things that people find challenging in life. And there are people from, the presenters are not, from the most part, people that are in the profession of healing. That's not what the panels are. It's people who work as home attendants, how to deal with the health system, how to deal with contractors, a lot of financial literacy, because finances right now, the degree that the American public is financially uneducated, that we have two distinct tax systems. We have the 1099 tax system that most people pay their taxes. And then we have another tax system where people take their income and put it into non taxable forms so that they are able to generate capital without paying taxes. And what has happened is the burden of finances is now on the working person. And there are so many ways, things that really should be common knowledge, that if you own property, if you've accumulated anything, if you own a house and you want to pass it on to your children, that house needs to be put in a trust. And that trust needs to have insurance enough to cover the mortgage. If you have a mortgage on your house and you die, that mortgage still exists. If the insurance and the trust does not pay the mortgage, then it goes back to the bank. So, and these are not uncommon practices, and finances is not my area. My area is consciousness and magic. But and I'll tell you, it's interesting, in putting the project together, I was looking for a person that could function as the financial educator. And what I've done instead is, on a weekly basis, I'll be giving people just very simple, the simplest of information. Like, if you do have money in a savings account, it should be a high interest saving account, which still is not a lot of money. If you know that if the reason why I found it difficult to find a speaker was because the people that are iconic in the country when it comes to investment, people like Warren Buffett, is going against his own advice. Everyone that's involved in the stock market, traditionally it is, we're going to have a recession. The market goes into recession, and the market recovers. So this is a part of a natural cycle. But what we're seeing now is that people who, and he has had billions of dollars in the stock market for years. He talks about it all the time, but he's
Mm-hmm.
liquidating. BlackRock is liquidating. The people who have that has been their gospel, they're right now liquidating cash. What they
Yeah.
are doing is they're buying the essential things that we all have to survive, like land, but even housing. These things are so precarious. So when you see someone, the reason why someone that has the type of finances accessible to them that Warren Buffett does is liquidating his cash and selling real estate now, is because the real estate market is in turmoil, because it's been mismanaged. The American dollar is in turmoil. We're in a trade war with BRIC. And BRIC is, and for the listener, BRIC is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. 9 countries just joined in. Somehow 40 more are in application. So BRIC is going to become more powerful than the United States. Our dollar and our passport is getting weaker. The most powerful dollar in the world are the people who have the oil in the East. Those are the people that have the most powerful currency. But just basic things, that how to manage your money, because we don't know what's going to happen. The fact that our president has thrown down the gauntlet with our 3 largest trade partners, China, India, and China, Canada, and Mexico, not India, China, Mexico, and Canada. We really don't know what will happen if they retaliate. We don't know. And if you know, migrants have a phenomenal impact on our economy. So if we do those things, if we have a tariff, that the burden of that is on the American people. If we're in a trade war that we don't know what the response will be, we really don't know what's going to happen to the economy. And we're accustomed to going in and out of recessions. We have one every 4 to 6 years. But I'm in my 70s. I have never lived through a depression. My mother lived through a depression. My mother told me about what it was like to live through a depression. Most
Mm-hmm.
people that are alive today, if my mother was alive today, she would be over 100 years old. So most people that are alive today don't know what that's like to live through a depression. That's different than a recession. And I'm not forecasting a depression. I'm not saying that I know. What I'm saying is that the last time I've talked a lot of years about Pluto and Aquarius. When Pluto goes into Aquarius, it's transformative. Humanity is empowered. But before that occurs, we go through a breakdown cycle. Like the Depression created the environment, they created Social Security and all of those things because the country fell apart, the Hoover years. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was during the French Revolution and the American Revolution. That was in the 1770s. But this is different. Pluto is not only in Aquarius, it's out of orb. And that's not going to happen for thousands of years. So we know that something transformative is going on. We know that the planet has gone through major transformation in the past, and that history has been suppressed. We know that there are pyramids all over the world. We know that at one time, pyramids were as ubiquitous as electricity and cell phones are now because they were all over the world.
Yes.
So at some point, planet Earth, the culture on this planet was pyramid culture aligned with the cosmos. The evidence is here. So we know that some drastic things have occurred. We know that the Sahara Desert was at one time green. And the information is to correlate that information to the epochs that this happens in is difficult because the Western academic community has misinformed us to an extent. So people who practice responsible astrology, they make correlations between what activities in the cosmos and as it reflects in the world. And you don't have to embrace that particular school of thought to look around and see that what's going on now in the world is unprecedented. And
Yeah.
in general, our media keeps us extremely uninformed. So the opening is what we need now most is each other. I'm encouraging people to do very, very simple things. Connect with someone. This is not the time to be alone. There are things that if you are in business, then you should start taking in multi currency. You should start taking currency from not just the American dollar. Saving by its nature is losing money through inflation. If your money is sitting in a savings account because of inflation, the value of it is decreasing by the minute.
Yes.
So simple things. So at least that you should have your savings in a high yield account. If you have ancestry, those of you that have ancestry from the Caribbean, places like that, my family is from here for a long time. My first husband was Jamaican. So I would like my children to have both American and Jamaican passports. But there is, I know, I want to back up a minute and say, I know that some of this may sound, depending on where you are in space and time, like it's daunting, but you can use social media so effectively. If you are scrolling on your phone, then the type of information that we'll be sharing is join Facebook groups that keep you financially educated. They're wonderful financial influencers. Some of them, I mean, there's a lot of sensationalism and clickbaiting going on that just exacerbates fear. But there's some also very responsible, learned people where your Facebook posts, what you're looking at on your phone, you can calibrate, and that's the type of information we'll be sharing. You can calibrate your Facebook, your social media, your Instagram, so you're not doing anything different than you usually do, but the repetition of getting that information, you'll begin to sensitize to it. You will begin to, you know, like people from all over the world, from the diaspora. There's a huge expat community in the world, huge. And many of them are people my age, because people that get into their 70s where their social security, how they can live in the United States, is their dollar is worth so much more. And even that spirit is starting to affect the international environment, because now that there are so many expats all over the world, the price of living in places like Panama City and Mexico City is going up, but it's still not as expensive as it is to be in the United States. So what I'm saying is it's very easy to develop the mindset of being a global citizen. It's not a lot of work. Just Google expat community. Just keep, just put that in your Facebook and just begin to have your social media calibrated so you have a global consciousness. If you are, if you're living, I'm one of three daughters, that the overhead for what we spend a month to maintain our housing, I live in New York is one of the most expensive places, not just in the United States, but in the world to live.
Yes.
And my family's Southern. When they say, what? This costs what? You got to live where? You pay what? Because comparatively the housing, but this is the destructive era of Pluto. What will happen? What has happened historically is when the systems that people depend on to live break down, people begin to unite because people have to survive. And out of those systems will come new ways of living, but we have to get there. We have to get there. So I'm saying, if you're someone that's fortunate enough to get along with your family, if you've got three siblings and collectively y'all are paying $5,000 a month just for your overhead, it might make sense to think about doing things like move in with the person with the mortgage, help them with the mortgage, because all types of terrible things are going on. When people buying a house and even buying investment property is not the asset that it once was, because so many things are being manipulated right now. Where
Mm-hmm.
when people buy a house, they think, well, what's the mortgage? This will be an asset after I pay a certain amount of an interest. But what they're doing is, what the government is doing is falsely raising property values. So if the property value, then your taxes go up. So you can,
Yes.
if they call it house poor, where you bought a house because you could afford the mortgage, but now your insurance company is doing something that you have no control of. You can't afford your insurance and you can't afford your taxes because the value of the property has gone up. So people are in all types of precarious circumstance. So what we need now, someone I
Um,
think is trying. If people are having problems with the link, email me and I will send you the link, or you can go to all events and put in restoring the magic of your humanity, and the event should come up and you can register. That $7 registration gives you access to 8 weeks. The training is free. The resources are free. There are other resources that it will lead to. We're focusing on circumstances that protecting the children. Right now, let me get off the financial thing. Things that we've been seeing is more children that are being psychically attacked in their sleep. Marilyn Worrell is going to, um, she's going to be talking about that. She works for Ife Tayo Cultural Arts Center, and these things are not challenging to handle. It's just that we've lost the culture of how to handle it. The simplest thing, there was a child, and all the mother needed to do is raise her frequency to the frequency of love and hold the child until the child went to sleep. I never went to sleep without prayer over my head. That's all it was needed to get. that those energies can't reach you at a higher frequency. And then after the child goes to sleep for a while, then it's okay, then it's all right. But we haven't passed this intelligence down. So this is just about us being, and there are many other aspects of, so the resource panels about that: financial literacy, health insurance, the very basic things, food. There's no shame in using a food pantry. A lot of them, the quality of the food is better than the grocery store. A lot of the food pantries have better food than the health food store and the grocery store, because they get their food from independent farmers who are some of the few free people still left in the world. So they're getting from independent farmers. So it's not as toxic as what you would get even in the health food store. So if you can go to a food pantry, use a food pantry. These are the types of things that we're discussing. The most basic things, it's these two premises. You need to restore the magic of your humanity. You need to become again a human being where your day flows and that you know that life conspires on your behalf. There's certain basic longings that when you're not connected to that flow, breath, to simply be alive, to truly be alive, space, to really feel rested. You have to really feel rested and have your circadian rhythms and homeostasis be balanced and your hormones be balanced for you to know what it feels like to be you. If you don't know, if you're not acquainted with yourself, then you can't make good choices for yourself. That's the third movement. And for you to make choices are so important because choices direct your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to connect with the flow to make choices because we live in a deterministic universe. Most of your life has a predisposition based on your past. All of that intention and all of that stuff is crap. People have a predisposition. That's what your chart is. What is the predispositions moving your life forward? You have to transcend those and connect with a flow to have free will, to even talk about intention. Neither the alchemical community or the scientific community support. There's nothing that backs. There's no science that backs intention. You can be nothing backs that. There's no evidence of that. It's the argument between determinism and free will started with Niels Bohr and Albert Einstein in the 1920s. But so what did our ancestors tell us about this? If we open up the heart, we can see. We can see patterns and correspondences in nature. We are guided. We are not alone. There's always that energy. And the closer you get to that energy, the more free will you have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very simple, but it's unknown. So I've been working with Ajua, who works with me. We're working to get the basic practice handbook up on Amazon by the 11th. That's when the training begins. But do this free training. Pass it on to people. Pass it on to friends and family. So it's two things that people need to do now. This is the message. Connect with the magic of your humanity and educate yourself on basic resources that you need at this time. Know your neighbors. I remember some years ago I had my turkey was burning and my house was all filled with smoke. The fire alarm was going on. I had to open up the terrace door, open up the door. None of my neighbors opened up the door. There's a presence in the world and a presence within us that prevents us from connecting to each other. We have the power, but we have to connect to each other. And over my lifetime, we have become less and less connected. It depends on where you live in the world. Some places people are more connected. If you live in New York, this is a privacy city. But we need each other right now. We need to connect. What we need now most is each other. We need to know about basic resources that are available to us. We need to know how to navigate the health system We need to know how to manage debt. You could turn debt into money. Debt is only a bad thing to poor people. People who have money use debt to create money. So it is ways that things that, if you have bad credit, don't think that you can't, if you don't have bad credit, then getting your business credit is a better strategy than trying to repair your personal credit. Because if you apply for business credit, they're able to borrow more. But the caveat to that is everybody can't do that. The caveat to that is that you have to have something in place that can pay back that loan. You want no interest loan. So this is the type of gradual information, because we're living 225 is going to be the year that we're going to see AI come more into our lives. Amazon just brought what, 14,000 managers back to work. Why are these big companies, why is Musk and why are these people bringing people back into the office? Because they're invested in commercial real estate. There's no value in having those people come to work 5 days a week, come back to justify the real estate.
Yes.
So all of, there's so many things. So I need to change where we are now, cyclically, historically, what the ancestors have left for us. The best that I can interpret is that when the type of scenario that we have is going on, that we have this breaking down period. And what it does is it breaks down all of the walls of illusionment, and we are reconnected with humanity, and people can once again connect and be solution orientated about ways to survive. Most of the planet is unoccupied. We can grow food. The farmers movement is a wonderful movement. There's an event called the Ugly Potato Event. They give away thousands of pounds in produce to people who need it. There are all types of people in the world doing phenomenal things that you can connect with to navigate through this time, whatever occurs, whatever your circumstances is. The other thing is there are many ways. There are many ways to be yourself for a living and transition. We can transition from the type of economy we have into AI. It's just that our leadership is poor. We have the land. If people had the option to live in an alternative community on land, people are growing food, they can have simple work, people would choose that option. The stuff that they're talking about happening, it doesn't have to happen. Why lay off thousands of people all at once and create more of a homeless problem than you don't have? Poor leadership. We don't need to do that. Since we know we're in transition, let's build other types of communities, because other places in the world are doing this. It's the
Yes.
United States that's saying, well, look, we have leadership in our government that's just not good. So we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. So the short of this is what we need now most is each other. What we're seeking, to do over the next 8 weeks, starting January 4th. January 4th is the orientation for basic practice. People need to prepare for that. You need to come dressed like you're going to a yoga class. You need your mat, you need your water. You need to not eat a couple of hours before the training, because you're moving internal energy. So you need to be loose. You need to be comfortable. And it's not so much moving in the body. It's most moving prana up, moving that energy to realign so that you begin to see. The heart has to open up to see, we have so much love. We have so much love, but it's buried deep inside of us. The magic and the love is buried deep inside of us because we're so wounded. We're so wounded. People have been through so much, but it's there. The power is there to navigate this time. So we need each other to navigate this time, to be well informed, to think about ways. There's so many ways, there's so many ways to earn a living, that is available to you, that if you put your mind in a space of simplicity and living and being alive in space, in intimacy and connection, and not have them in the state of hysteria chasing money. Think about your most immediate needs. What do you and your family need to make it through the night, make it through the
Mm-hmm.
season? What do you need? What do you immediately need? We need to focus on that. We need to focus on that. So that's what this event is about. Queen will be on at the end because she's coming in February 2nd. I'm seeking to do an open mic as the closing event, and I'm reaching out to bars throughout the diaspora because bars are important community environments. So I want to connect with bars so that I can have it up on my website that if you decide you're going to go to Costa Rica, you can go to the bar in Costa Rica where the expats hang out so you can plug into that community. And this is so much easier to do because the technology gives us all the skills to do that. There's a huge expat community. Panama, Costa Rica, Mexico City, Bali, places all over the world. Older people, and it's a very, very progressive population because the people who are living in these places are the simple people, the indigenous people who live there always. Then what they call the digital nomads, people who, the tech industry, they travel all over the world because they work online. And then there's some true elders, people from all over the world who have left cities, which I hope as soon as I can to join that population, because I have no desire to continue to live in this static friend. The culture of the United States is just not my cup of tea anymore. So there are a lot of people with a great deal of wisdom and information from all over the world that have gravitated towards these places because the cost of living is an elder, it's cheaper. And then there are
Mm-hmm.
people that just have a global mindset that are all over the place because they're doing visa investment. There are countries that if you go and give them $250,000, they'll let you come in, you live like a king. That's going on also. But there's a lot going on in the world other than just the United States, Canada, and England. The pendulum is swinging east. And a lot of the places that we think about as being unsafe, when we think about, third world environments that are undeveloped, we have not invested in our infrastructure in a long time. There are other places that we think about that they're third world countries, like Dubai. Dubai a couple of decades ago was a mess. And now it's an
Yes.
ultra modern city, so a lot of our point of references about the nature of the world is not current. So these are the takeaways. And if people want to ask questions, I'll respond to questions. But one, what we need now most is each other. Two, you need to connect with your magic so you can see the patterns in life, so you know how to make choices and decisions and be guided. You use your head, heart, information, but your heart, and you have to be connected to nature so that you know what you're doing. That's one of the longings, to know what to do, to be unafraid, to not be confused, to not be reactionary. These are basic longings that we don't have because we're not connected to the magic. So connect to the magic of your humanity and be informed. And you could very easily be informed if you have a cell phone. If you're on social media, you can calibrate your cell phone and social media. I will be giving you resources that these are the people you want to be following so that when you're spending time scrolling, that is productive time. Um, that's it.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I do agree with you. I know there was a young man who was speaking about who are you following, who are you watching on social media. So it's like, are you being educated? Are they sharing anything with you? And not only that, are you following someone who's presenting something that's positive? Like all, it's a lot of people following these toxic, people with these toxic
That
videos
that
and all
that
this
are
negativity.
triggering their fear and making
Yes.
them feel bad. And all filtered out, and it's terrible. And people that are haven't plugged into the AI, and AI sounds like technology that may be daunting. The AI technology is so much easier than the technology that we've had in the past. It really is. And you could use Chat GPT to ask how to use other check technique. You can ask AI whatever you need to know and start there. I'm no big, it's not like the toolbar and drop down and go down here and go down here. You can just have a conversation with the AI technology. It's much more user friendly for people who don't love technology, or if you're an old lady like me, it's you could go into Chat GPT and ask it anything, or you could put Gemini on your phone and ask it anything. There's
Yeah.
high level stuff, but you don't have to start there. Start with anything, if just anything imaginable. But that's something that we're going to talk about also, in terms of how to use that technology and not be uncomfortable with it. And everybody that knows me knows I'm not a big tech person, you know. But it's ubiquitous. I mean, it's the nature, Aquarius rules technology. So we have to, it is that time, but it's a difference between you using it. That's why your magic is so important. Because if you're centered, if you're connected to spirit, if you're connected to yourself, and you know what you feel like, then you know what you're looking for. You could scroll past anything that has nothing to do with you. But if you don't and you're just scrolling, it'll take you all over the place. That's like medicine. If you do medicine, if you do ayahuasca, and if you don't have spirit guides, if you're not grounded in where you go in the hyperdimensional realm, well, then you're just going all over the place.
Hmm.
You're just going all over the place. And it's not how you want to use these tools. So you want to be
Right.
grounded in who you are, and then I'm looking specifically for this kind of information. Then they become wonderful tools that you're directing the tools. It's not directing you. And as you were saying, it's not making you feel like you're crap and you're not beautiful enough, or you're not making enough money. That's the standard they keep throwing at each other. You got to be, what is it now? The going standard to be free, you got to make $5 million. You ain't got to make $5 million to be free.
No.
You do
No.
not. There are places in the world, if you use the resources around you, your family, the people, and you put your heads together and say, where can we go together and live with the resources that we have now, and we could build a better life? You don't have to be a millionaire. You do not, this is that's all of that is a spell. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be, and you don't have to grind to be successful.
Hmm.
If you're grinding, you're out of devotion. You're out of alignment, because the rhythm of life does not move that way.
Hmm.
So indeed, so indeed. So that's what we're doing. Come, invite people, come and sit by the fire. Come, it's yin time of year. This is the time of year to be in for how to make it through the winter, what we need to do so we could plant seeds during the yang time of year, spring and summer. Come and join us. It's $7 to register, and the rest of the 8 weeks, that same link, one link, gives you access. Share it with other people. If you're a family member and you register for $7, everybody in your family ain't got to register. Give them the damn link. Email them the
Right.
link. And it's like, don't get me wrong. People need to get paid their worth. People need to get paid their work. But I'm of the thinking that if you're doing work in the community, you should do some volunteer work and some work at a very nominal fee. And then if you that badass, you should be able to go out. You should be making money in the world where there's money to be made, so you can devote some time to people who don't have the money, because a lot of people do not. A lot of people do not. They're awful. They're unbelievably horrible things going on in the world right now. And if you claim yourself as a healer, some of your time should be dedicated to helping those people. If a woman on welfare, if her whole family is sick and your fee is $400 a shot and you don't take insurance, what the hell? But don't let me get on that note. I think
Welcome, welcome. We have
I've sung that song. Um, so I've sung that song long enough, and it's like, Bliss. I hope that I know that with you, I know I'm singing to the choir. It's. I want you to develop an advisory board. You're progressing so beautifully, and you're doing so much,
thank you.
and you need that support. And I am there, in any way that I can. I don't do this much. Um, I'm really seeking to retire in 2 years. I want to retire to, a small place that has healing waters and get up and do yoga and write the stuff that I want to write before I leave. Right now, I'm writing stuff that other people can teach my work. I just completed 3 books for early childhood education, a training manual, a parent teacher's guide, and a children's book. Now I'm completing the basic practice training book so I can create teachers before I die. But those of you that have picked up the banner, that you are out in the world doing this, you need support. You need support. And sometimes it may not be information. It just may be, I need a hug.
Yes, yes.
You know,
Sometimes you need
because
the
the
hug.
environment that you're moving in now is moving at a different frequency,
Hmm.
a different frequency. And you need protection. You need protection. You need someone that can keep you on the frequency so you can move through the world and navigate through this space and time.
Hmm.
Yielding, the last movement in the practice is protection. Yielding is when you've done all that you can and you don't know what to do, and you stop and give space for the greater intelligence in life to direct you and for that to move you forward. When you've had enough experiences with that, then you start to surrender to that energy. That's avatar state. The foundation of the practice is breath, the center is flow, but the goal is yielding to be one with that energy, that intelligence that guides
Hmm.
life. And then you can move through the world free. But no matter how aligned you are with it, there'll be moments where you'll be triggered. And dark forces are tempting. That's their power, to trigger. To trigger, to excite. They have people so distracted now by all of this stuff. They have to make money. They have to be billionaires, all of this stuff that's keeping their attention away from the deepest truth of who they are. And we are so much powerful that we've got a couple of years to navigate through to go into this new historical epoch. So that is an invitation. Come, come, come. Um, Miss Bliss, after you were at the speakers forum, and I know you have a full plate and you're involved in a production of other things. What your remarks about mental health and suicide of men, um, each panel will end with a Q&A, and the
Hmm.
Q&A is also open. So if there's any information that you want to share, even if you're doing a show that you think is important, come into
Hmm.
that panel. You don't have to
Okay.
schedule or go come to meetings or do any of that. Just say, I want to share this with the community. And just and just let me know. And that goes for the audience also.
Yes.
Come in. The morning is training, The morning is 10 a.m. and then we break, but from 6 to 8 is the resource panels. If you have information that you want to share, email me. Let me know. This is we're at the fire. We're going into the dark time of year, the yin time. This is when we share. This is when we ask the elders what we need to know to make it on through. Namaste, Sarabona. I bow to the divinity in you and I see you, beloved. I mean that with sincerity. I see you.
Thank you.
I see you. I see you.
Thank you.
I think I
I
need to
want
go. I know I said I have asked some questions. I will be back tomorrow with some of the presenters. Miss Bliss has opened up the space for 2 nights. This is part one. We'll be back tomorrow for part two, and some of the other people that will be presenting will be with me. Um, and I love to bring people that are in practice along,
to.
that so that people realize how accessible magic is. How it's like Dorothy. You don't have to go through Oz. You could just click your heels. You could, and that doesn't mean that everything doesn't have to be worked out for you to connect to the magic. You want to connect to the magic so that it can navigate you through the process of everything working out.
Right. Right. I want to say, Cynthia McKinney, first time here, and this is very interesting and informative. I'm glad I found you both. Thank you for joining us, Cynthia.
We're glad you're
Thank
here.
you.
I'm glad you're
Yes.
here. Miss Bliss. And I would like to come back more often and visit. I would definitely like to. Maybe we can come up with a schedule that is. I'm getting ready to have my surgery on my
Mhm.
mouth the 14th. But after that, I'll be in a place where, your teeth are your kidney, your ancestral energy. And I have a lot of things that I need to accomplish before I make my transition. But I'd like to visit more, so we can absolutely talk about that. I love the environment, and I love all of this love and kisses that I've been given. That I love this energy of light and kisses and love that I'm getting all through. And this is the sweetest thing. I love it. And pink, the color of affection. I love it. I just love it. So, um, namaste. I bow to the divinity in you. If people have any problem with this very long link, again, you could go to allevents.com and put in Restoring the Magic of Your Divinity, and you'll get the link to register. If you have problems, email me. Miss Bliss has the link in her has the link in her thingy that I don't know
Yes.
what that's called.
It's scrolling at the bottom. So the email
It's
is,
scrolling in the bottom. If you can, and I will send you the link, and come and share and magnify. And again, we'll be back tomorrow with some other folks. Bliss, thank you so much. I love you,
you're
darling.
welcome.
I
You're
do, I
welcome.
do, I do, I do, I do. You're looking
I love
more and more like my younger self every day. Oh, I could claim you as a daughter and nobody would question it.
Yes, absolutely.
All
So
righty,
there's the
beloved.
email, guys. It's DPHAR, the number 8 at AOL.com. And then you see the link is scrolling at the bottom. So please, guys, please register. It's $7. You can share with all of your family, all of your friends. Share with any future business partners you might be considering having. Share with other people from other countries that you might have intentions on visiting. Just share and share alike.
And see, Miss Bliss, I know that all of the things that I'm talking about, you're doing, but everyone is not doing it. Everyone is not doing it. Everyone is not doing it. So those of us, like you and myself, those of us that know it is our responsibility to share and magnify. All
Yes.
righty, beloveds. Namaste. I bow to the divinity in each and every one of you. And Sarabona, I see you. I see you. You are all beautiful. God
Thank you,
bless.
guys. Have a
Good
beautiful
night.
night, guys. We love you. Mwah.